Hot is the weather, and the weather is bloody hot in Southern California. I don't know where you are watching us up and down the West Coast, and for the O Canada Network. I don't know where you are watching us, but pal, it was 110 in my driveway yesterday. Just beating on me and bleaching the paint off my car. It's just horrible. Padres hot. Now they've cooled a little bit, but Padres are sitting there at 72 and 56. That's pretty impressive. They get the Mets in town. They've won 22 of their last 28 games, but they're starting to show some signs of wear and tear. I'm concerned about Matt Waldron. I think he's hit a wall. I think he's hit an innings limit, and he's never thrown this much before, and he was dazzling. He kept their credibility in the first half of the season when all of a sudden it looked like it was becoming an underachieving season. But I will tell you, last 10 starts, he's had only 2 quality starts in the last 10 outings. Last 10 starts, his ERA is 7.17. He's given up 12 home runs in his last 10 starts. He's given up a lot of hits, a lot of runs, etc. What they need is a couple of rainouts. What they need is an extra day to get him some rest and try to work on his mechanics. We're sitting here at this point in time with no idea if Yu Darvish is going to re-enter this picture in mid-September. We're sitting here at this point with Fernando Tatis facing a third MRI, the progress recovery from the stress reaction in the thigh bone area. He's getting better, but he's not done any hardcore baseball activities. I'm talking about explosive burst, running down the baselines. I'm talking about side to side, chasing stuff in the outfield. He's not even really taking any full batting practice, so I'd be concerned about that. Here come the New York Mets. This is always a good rivalry, and this is an important series, and this will not be an easy series. Back, John, when the season started, the Mets were awful. Do you know they're 44 and 26 since Memorial Day weekend?
Really?
And they're doing it with a ragtag starting rotation. The Jose Quintanas of the world are pitching better, and they've stayed free of injuries. And Francisco Lindor, Peter Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, those guys are hitting for some power. So I don't think this is going to be a real easy series. Ha-Seong Kim, shoulder injury, disabled list. This is going to take longer than I think anybody realizes because it's the throwing shoulder. Lucky it was not a full dislocation. Lucky it was not a torn labrum, but I think this is going to take some time. He's got some significant inflammation in there. They're probably going to do another MRI. So at this point in time, this is a team that's had a real hot run. This is a team's bench bunch has really saved them. But now suddenly they're starting to show a little wear and tear with the pitching staff. So I'd be a little bit concerned about that. My co-host is a freaking big Padre fan, even if his opinions are out in left field. John, react.
Waldron has been, like you said, he was dazzling in the first half, and you just love the whole knuckleball story and everything that goes with it. But without that knuckleball, he's like a below average pitcher. And he's got a fastball that maybe tops out at 91 or something like that. So if the knuckleball isn't working, then nothing's working. And I think you may be right. I think maybe he's tired, but let's just pretend for a moment that he was removed from the rotation. And Darvish, we still don't know. I mean, who would come into the rotation?
Well, they'd have to bring back Randy Vasquez.
Oh, yeah.
Who was pretty competitive.
Yes, he was.
He'd have a bad outing every inning, or bad inning every outing, and it wind up hurting him. I think was his record. I think was 3-6 when they shipped them back to El Paso. But he's probably the likely one. I'm not sure that Johnny Brito is going to be anybody's major league rotation guy. Waldron, last 54 innings, 56 hits, 42 runs in those 54 innings, 12 bombs. As I said, ERA of 7.17 in his last 10 starts. So he's hit a wall. Michael King has not had stressful innings. Michael King, even though he's over his innings limit, has never thrown this many innings. Doesn't look like physically or mentally he's hit a wall, but Waldron is obviously not the same guy. Okay. That's a Padre.
Well, I want to ask you one question. What's your opinion? Why did the Mets turn it around? Some people say it was the grimace throwing out the first pitch.
That might be a reach. You might hurt your shoulder reaching that far for that opinion. But they stayed free of injury. I mean, once they got Lindor back in the lineup, and he's had himself a really unsung hero season, and Alonso, who had a lousy start batting average-wise, starting to hit some home runs. Brandon Nimmo has hit some home runs. I think it's just a better team at this point. They have a young catcher by the name of Francisco Alvarez who's hit the ball very well too, and they have not had any injuries to their pitching staff. Now, there's no Cy Young Award guys on that pitching staff, but those guys have given them some serviceable innings. I made a crack early in the season, and somebody dumped all over me with an email. If you think Jose Quintana is going to be the ace of your staff, or Sean Manaea, who's going to lead you to the World Series, shame on you. But those two guys have had really good seasons. Manaea, he's done something different. He's pitching better now than he's pitched for a long period of time. So the guys in their rotation are giving them serviceable quality starts, and the bats are booming. Now, they're not chasing down Philadelphia by any stretch, but, they're right on the periphery right now. That's why this series, I think, is going to be much tougher than anybody realizes.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And whenever the Mets are in town, there's always a bunch of Mets fans. It makes me think of the time that Bartolo Colon hit the home run off of James Shields. Remember that?
Yeah. You'll know the Mets are in town because the guy next to you is wearing a cap that says NY, and you can't understand anything he says because of his New York dialect. Okay, we go from Padre baseball. Let's